everybody, it's AMV Reverted Studios here once again with another MapleStory video. So recently, my friend, slash one of my subscribers, Angel, commented on my last video of what we miss about old MapleStory. And then she started asking me some pretty legitimate questions that I would have to say probably everybody wonders at one point or another. And so I said that I would do my best to go ahead and try to help her with her questions. Now, she is level 207, and my highest level character is 203, but that's on Renegades, and this is Kiney, where I'm only 187, so I won't physically be able to go to certain maps, but I will definitely do my best to accommodate for these questions, and I hope that it helps you, Angel. I really, really do. But first of all, I noticed something that you mentioned, that your Discord always jokes, and brags about the fact that, oh, I only hit 50 mils and you're hitting a max of 4 to 6 mil. Well, you're doing a lot better than a lot of other players, so you've already got a head start. I don't even know what my damage is, so I'm going to go test that out, and you'll see that, you're not the only person that has to, deal with people bragging about their damage, because it happens to me too all the time. People like that are hitting 4 mil lines or 6 mil lines will look at me when I'm only hitting like 1 or 2 mil lines, and then I get called a noob and get told to quit the game, even though I've been playing this game for so many years. So first of all, you just have to not let what other people say get the best of you. They're only bragging, and they're probably the people that actually spent real money on the game, and that's why they're hitting 50 mil lines super fast, or what seems to be faster than you. That, or maybe some of them are legitimate players and have spent a lot of time and effort to get their characters to that high range. I know my friend Bryce's LP did that. As far as I know, he didn't spend any money on the game, from what I can recall our conversations being, and he was hitting max damage at when max damage was 50 mil lines. And I actually have a guide on my channel. It might be a little outdated, but it's how to fund your character with no NX. So if you want to go check that out, it's on my channel. I might repeat some of the points in this video, so yeah. Alright, so we're going to see what my range is right now. I'm sitting at a max of 339k. Now, that may not seem like a lot to anybody out there who's like, oh, well, I have twice that, you're weak, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, maybe so, but do I really care? Not at all. I couldn't be the least bit impressed with how high somebody else's range is. And frankly, it's because if I continue to compare myself to other people that play this game, or people that have poured hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, into the game for cubes and scrolls and what have you to get those perfect items and those legendary equips, I would have probably quit this game years ago if I kept comparing myself to other players. And at one point, that's kind of what I was doing, and it almost bit me in the ass, to be completely honest. And I try to keep, obviously, cursing out of my videos, but it really did almost bite me really bad, and I almost quit because I spent so much time on a character that I didn't really like playing, only because it was the strongest and the fastest to level and the easiest to fund at the time. And I was almost miserable playing that game, and I was trying to convince myself that I would love the character when it got stronger. But even when the character got stronger, I was not having a good time. So, really, as far as that is concerned, Angel, with your um, Discord bragging and making you feel bad about your damage, you're doing a lot better than a lot of other people. Like, I think at max, I hit like 2 mil lines at the most when I'm lucky. Maybe a little bit more with bosses. I'm still working on balanced funding, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But please don't discourage yourself with what other people are saying. You know, everybody has their own pace, and if you can't spend money on the game, I hate to say it, it probably will take you a little bit longer to get your damage up, but don't let that discourage you to the point where you don't want to play the game or you get bored. Maps for you to mindlessly grind. I'm not too much of a mindless grinder myself, and at level 200 plus, I feel like everything would probably be a little bit grindy. But there are a few maps that I know of that aren't too bad, and I think with your range and your damage that it shouldn't take too long for you to catch those levels. Now, I'm not sure what kind of class you play, but from what I can remember to the best of my ability and what worked for me until I was able to actually get my fifth job, it's recommended from 190 to 210 to train in either Scrapyard Hill 4, or I trained in Scrapyard Hill 5. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. It's Anyway, these two spots I trained at, mostly Scrapyard Hill 5. Holy cow, I cannot talk. I trained here for a while, at least till I was able to complete all my fifth job quests and move on. But I did wind up finding myself somewhere, I can't remember where it was. It was in Skyline somewhere, and I'm really, really, really trying to remember. If I was only 190, I'd be able to actually go in here. No, it wasn't that far. I think I was training, bouncing around on Skyline as well when I was really bored of training in Scrapyard. So I would say anything from Scrapyard Hill 5 um, up, and like just keep making your way up. And if you get bored of that, honestly, like if you want to talk about grinding maps, this is what I've got for you. I'm sorry if it's not what you want to hear. I'm sorry if it's not the exact map that you were hoping. Um, but yes, this area is not a bad place to just mindlessly grind. But when you finally are able to, I should say, let's see here. We will go to. Now, from what I remember also, from after when you finally get your fifth job, if you haven't already got it, I'm assuming since you're 207, you have your fifth job. But when I was able to finally get in here, I didn't get too far only because my bowmaster didn't have like super OP damage, like oh my god, everybody's jealous of me type damage. But I did level up a few times in this area, so don't get yourself discouraged. The monsters are a little bit higher, and obviously it requires um, arcane force, if I remember that correctly. Sorry, I've been on a hiatus from MapleStory for months, so I'm sorry if I sound rusty or I'm stuttering over my words or it doesn't really sound like I know what I'm talking about. For the most part, I do, but if anybody out there wants to critique this video and tell me a better place to train for my friend, then feel free. But it has to be like 4 mil to 6 mil like damage line friendly. Because that's what I'm trying to do. And I was hitting in these maps with less, so I don't think you should have a problem hitting here. But I kind of just stayed in this area, like along here. They're not too high. But the mobs are usually pretty good. Some of the maps are platformy a little bit, but unfortunately, that's how MapleStory is nowadays. There's no maps that are just, flat ground. As you see, I'm training in Forsaken Excavation Site 2 at least till 190, and then I'm going to go over to Scrapyard till I hit 200, and I'll probably stay there till I get my 5th job, and then I'm going to come to where I'm showing you right now. So I'm not just talking out of my butt. I'm telling you what I do and what I'm going to do and what I've noticed worked for me, especially for the fact that I'm not super funded. I'm not super OP. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not in a rush with the game, as I've explained in many of my previous videos, that I'm not in a rush with this game. I'm not trying to be the best of the best. I'm not trying to be the richest. I'm just enjoying the game as it comes, making it my own thing. But yes, 200 to, I don't know, however long you think is tolerable. I'd stay along this line of monsters. It's not so bad, and it goes. The XP goes. It goes. And then, if I remember correctly, alrighty, and at your level, you're 207. I'm not sure what your arcane force is or anything like that. But if you're hitting 4 to 6 mil lines, I don't think that's too bad. It really also depends, I guess, on how many hits per second you have. I mean, when I eventually get to the point where my Xenon is hitting that, I think I should be pretty good off as far as training, because I'm a DPS machine. I mean, not as much as some other classes, but it's pretty flashy compared to some of my other characters that I've played, and it's a lot faster hitting, I should say. But the Cave of Repose area isn't so bad. There are quests that you actually have to complete when you're in the Vanishing Journey map. That, like, this whole thing, there's quests everywhere that you do have to complete to move on to other areas. But eventually you'll get down in this area if you're not already. And all of these are 207, so I think you should be perfectly fine in this area. Just find the map. The thing is find a map that is tolerable for you. Just because one map works better with somebody that can hit multiple platforms at once may not be good, for somebody that can only hit 1 or 2 platforms at a time, or is a straight attacker. Meaning, like, they do, what would you call it? Like, they only hit 1 platform, I guess. Just find the map that works for you. But unfortunately, and fortunately, I am glad that they made this Arcane River area, because a lot of people from 200 to 250, I think it was getting a little bit hard. And then they opened up this. And yes, the Arcane Force, that being a requirement to be able to hit good in these maps, that is a little irritating, because from the last time that I checked, when I was on my Bowmaster, they don't drop that often. And it is really annoying, because I was pretty much stuck in this area, because it's kind of like Star Force. You need that minimum requirement of Arcane Force to, you can kill them without, but it's super hard. It is way harder. So if you can get your hands on Arcane Force, go for it, because the higher your Arcane Force, the easier it will be to hit in these maps. I think that also gives you, like bonus stats, or, like, raises your range, so I mean, don't quote me on that, but at least I think that's what it does, which is why it makes it easier to attack in the area. Um, but yeah, I would stay in this area till you've leveled up enough and feel comfortable to leave that area. So when you end up getting about 100, I almost said Star Force, Arcane Force, go over to Choo Choo Island. I'm not sure the exact level requirement, but I think about 210 plus, at least be the same levels as the monsters. Choo Choo Island, as far from what I've been able to see from other Maplers, other YouTubers that do MapleStory videos, they recommend Choo Choo Island. And again, it all has to do with what kind of map works best for you. But I see at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, about 10 different training maps that you have to choose from. So you can definitely find a map along this line that works for you. From what I can tell, like Arcane River, there are probably quests along this line. And I don't see the problem with quests for progressing in maps. It gives you something to focus on other than mindlessly grinding. But there's nothing I can do for you as far as Arcane Force. That's just something you're going to have to get yourself. Maybe your guild will help you. Maybe your Discord will help you. If they truly give a crap about you, I'm sure that they will help you. But yeah, when you get from 207 to 210, I would recommend coming here if you are able to gather up 100 Arcane Force. And you have 10 different maps to choose from, probably more. Oh, well, no, those are 217. So I guess when you hit that point, you can come up here, but it requires 160 Arcane Force. So I guess just be ready for that. As far as training maps, I think that's good enough for now because I don't know how long it's going to take you from, to get from 207 to 210, 216. But I would say Arcane River itself, the Vanishing Journey area that I showed you, and Choo Choo Island, and eventually when you get past that, Lachlan. I do know that the maps get harder and harder as you progress. So then there's the problem with funding because most people, like myself, run into the problem of, okay, well, this is my range. And even if you do have the Arcane Force, I'm sure that will definitely help you. I'm sure having enough Arcane Force will definitely help making hitting those monsters easier. But, everybody still needs a little bit of funding. And that's where some of the stuff that you might not want to do come into play. And what do I mean by that? Funding without an X, because that was something that Angel also mentioned, that she doesn't have money to spend on the game. And that's fine. I barely spend money on this game, and when I do, it's very, very, very ever rarely for cubes. I'm never really around when there's a good cubing event going on, so I feel you on that. I don't like spending money on cubes, but I know eventually for myself, I probably will have to at some point. But I know how you feel. With my job and my living expenses, I can't. Or it would be very, very irresponsible and foolish of me to turn around and spend real life money on this game. So for now, what I do to help myself with my range, and, you might not like this because I know you mentioned what other people have said, but part of it is doing daily bosses. And why is it doing daily bosses? Well, I'm going to go to move on from... Oh, hello. Not what I was expecting. Okay, I guess I'm fighting a boss. Okay, cool. defeated the elite boss. But again, in the end, whether or not you have like a ton of range, you can still do certain things. For example, where somebody could probably get this elite boss in I don't know how many seconds, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever. It took me a minute to do it. It took me a hot minute to kill that boss, but I did. So there you go. Ooh, epic potential scroll. Might use that later. Ooh, chaos scroll. I don't know if I'm going to use that one, but yes. Back to what I was saying. Don't let other people's progression bring you down. If you keep comparing your character to everybody else's character, you're never going to be satisfied with your character and your progression, because even when you get up to the point where you're hitting 50 mil lines, that's going to be awesome, but what did you do that entire time? You felt bad. You didn't feel good enough. You didn't have fun. And, like, what's the point? You're going to hit that 50 mil line and then try to be happy. And, you probably will be happy, but the entire time that you're working on getting there, you're going to be miserable and feeling bad and feeling like you're not good enough. So please do yourself a favor and follow my lead when it comes to the fact that it doesn't matter what your range is. It is nobody else's business. Your progression and how fast you progress is nobody else's business. So if somebody's hitting 50 mil lines and you're only hitting 4 to 6 mil lines, maybe instead of thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, my character sucks, I'm not strong enough, I'm never going to do that, change your mindset. I will do that someday. I will be that high level someday. I will have max arcane force, or I will have the ability to hit 50 mil lines, and I'll be 210 or 220 or, whatever your goal is. Think about it in a positive way and don't compare your progression, your range, your damage, how quickly you can kill bosses, where you train. If you're happy with all of that and you can accept that you're in the process of improving, don't let people tease you and tell you that your character sucks. If you like that character, do what you got to do to improve yourself. But in the meantime, don't let other people dictate you having fun or enjoying your character in the meantime. Please. So, now that we got all that out of the way, this is going to be a video that is going to take me a long time to edit. I already know that. We are going to fast forward through the next few parts now that we got training maps out of the way. So one of the reasons that I like to farm Pianus is because, one, it's just, sometimes it's nice to get away from hours of mindlessly grinding. I don't know about you, but after so many hours of just sitting in a map and grinding my heart out, and, yes, levels are great. I never complain when I level up because, each level is one step closer to where I want to be. But sometimes you just need a little bit of a break. And with that, I use bossing. And, it is recommended to farm Pianus because sometimes he'll drop cubes. It's even more likely if you have a 2x drop or, it's a 2x event. But he also gives a little EXP that, it does build up over time. But he also drops potions, which you can sell for a decent amount at just a regular NPC. I don't really bother buying cubes unless it's like a Miracle Time event. That would be the only time I would recommend spending real-time money on the game, because I've seen some people progress super, super fast and get like 80% of their funding done in one sitting through Miracle Time. Also, that's another reason why I do my dailies and why people recommend that you do your dailies, is because all bosses have the potential to drop cubes, and you can either use those cubes to sell for a cube service and make a little extra money for yourself if you want to upgrade armor or buy a new piece of equipment like I did. I had a lot of mesos in my book until I bought that tyrant cloak, but totally worth it. Something I also wanted to address while I'm actually doing my daily bosses is, trust me, I understand getting the same advice over and over again, like do all your bosses, do all your dailies, dimensional invasion, even though I'm pretty sure that party quest is below your level at this point, and I don't see the point in doing it. I don't do it. As far as daily missions, I'm not sure what they mean by that. As far as the fact that, you know, maybe you just like to mindlessly grind, that's why I hit that point first on where you should train. Unfortunately, from what I've been able to tell in my own experience, that whole Arcane River on like Choo Choo Island and Lachlan does require a bit of effort and a bit of work, so you're probably going to be sitting in that area for a while, depending on how fast you can get Arcane Force. I know when I hit 200 and I get my 5th job, I'm probably going to be sitting there for a while as well. As far as I know, there's really not too much you can do about that. That's why I'm also saying do your daily bosses, so you don't get too frustrated with just mindlessly grinding in the same spot. Also, you get experience, you get reward points, which you could actually use in the cash shop to get almost whatever you want. So it's like free NX. So I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to do their daily bosses. And again, for me, it's a nice break from just sitting in a map and constantly grinding. If I start to feel numb in my brain, pretty much, I'll go do some daily bosses, or I'll go do Monster Park. You're also saying, also, if it takes a bit of effort for some cubes and not hours and hours of work spending meso to craft just one single cube, I'd be willing to do that as well. That goes back to your daily bosses, unfortunately. Another way I know of getting cubes would be mining ore, like the heart ores and like the big crystal ores. I think you know which ones I'm talking about, the big purple shiny looking ones. Those have a potential to drop cubes as well. So if you want to like level up your mining skill, the higher it is, the more likely you are to get cubes. I know Bryce's LP was making me so peanut butter jelly with the fact that like he would go around just mining those ores and he would end up with like 7, 8, 9, 10 cubes, and I'd be sitting here with like 1 to 3 cubes, and I was like, what the heck? So that's also a really good way to get cubes. But because of how busy I am, and for the fact that I am like you, Angel, I don't have the money to just pour into this video game. If I did, if I was able to pour as much money into the game as other YouTubers that I watch, I would be way higher in my damage. I'd probably have 1 mil range already or something insane like that. But I don't. You know, sometimes I like to treat myself with a little NX, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't. And so I don't set my expectations that high. You know, I want to go from 300k range to 1 mil range in 2 weeks. Like, no, I'm going to fall flat on my face. You know, that's not realistic. What I like to do that takes the pressure off of myself and the game, because when it comes down to it, MapleStory, as near and dear to my heart as this game is, and to a lot of other people, it's not a contest, and it is just a video game. You're not going to die if you don't hit 50 mil lines. You're not going to, you know, be a lame, miserable person if you can't hit max level. You know, like, it's just a video game, and you got to realize it is just a video game. Emotionally, this game more means more to me than that, but competitive wise, I'm not competing with anybody. And when I stopped competing with other people and started competing with myself, I had a lot more fun with this game. And what do I mean by that? Again, going back to don't let other people's progress get in your way. Don't measure your life by somebody else's yardstick because you will always come up short. Set goals for yourself. Like you were saying, you wouldn't mind mindlessly grinding to hopefully get a level a day or even half a level a day. With the training maps that I showed you and the daily bosses or whatever, take that and set a goal. You know, I want to get to 50%, or I want to level up, or I want to get to 25%. Like, set a goal for yourself for that day if you know you have the time to play and reach that goal. And then I want to beat this boss that I've never beat before. You know, I want to try out this party quest that I've never tried before. You know, I want to get, you know, however many arcane force a day to get one step closer to moving up in a map. I think that's a more realistic thing for your position, because I'm assuming you're somewhere in that spectrum right now of Arcane River where you're trying to get arcane force. So set a goal for yourself. You know, how much arcane force do you want to improve in that day, or you know, how much percent experience you want to get to in that day. You know, set goals for yourself and then keep setting the goals higher and higher, but be realistic with the time that you have on your hands. If I had my choice in my free time, I would be 200 by now. But unfortunately, and realistically, I don't, because I work almost every single day. And then on my days off, I'm not glued to the computer. Sometimes I am, let's be honest. But most of the time, especially if it's like payday or something, I have a lot of errands to run and I have to be an adult. And I have other life expenses where I'm not spending my money on the game. So I set goals for myself. But set goals for yourself. Don't let other people set them for you. And for whatever you do, ignore the trolls, because that's all they're doing is they're trolling you, Angel. They're trying to make you feel bad because they're on their high little pedestal of, oh, I hit 50 mil lines and I have like 1.1 mil range and blah 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 blah, like, or 2 mil range or whatever. Like, okay, good for them. The best you can do is say, oh, good job, awesome, I'm proud of you. You know, and like, I'm not saying like encourage them to troll you, but don't let it get to you at the same time, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, just say, hey, good for you. This is where I'm at, but I'm gonna get better. And if they try to discourage you, use that as a motivator. If they say, oh, well, it's gonna take you forever. Okay, so it might, but eventually I'll get there. You know, it might be a month, it might be 2 months, it might be 3 months, but I'm gonna get there eventually. That's the kind of attitude that you have to have. And when I switched my mindset to I'll get there when I get there and any progress is good progress, I became a lot more comfortable and a lot more laid back with this game. I mean, people in my guild right now, like, they're 210. I'm sitting here at 187. You know, it oh my gosh. See, 242, 210, 211, 229. It's like, when I look at that, I see inspiration. I see, whoa, like, people actually got that high. Holy crap. This is awesome. Like, I know eventually, you know, if I play the game that long, I'll get to 210. You know, right now my goal is to get to 190. My next goal will be 195, then it'll be 200. Like, I just take my progress in increments. As far as my range, you know, I'm just gonna farm for some cubes, slowly increase my range. Maybe if I get really bored or have some spare cash, I'll buy a pack of cubes, see what I can get. But I'm not super stuck in the stigma that I have to be the best of the best. And when you can get that out of your head, you will find yourself having a lot more fun. Also, hyper stats. This helps a lot. Right now, my range actually used to be higher. I used to be at like 403,000 range, 403k range, something like that. And then it actually went down because I reset my hyperstats, but I heard somebody use the phrase balance funding, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if I tried to balance out my stats. And even though my range is lower, I'm hitting higher in certain areas. Like my criticals are higher than they used to be, and my boss damage is higher than it used to be. So the ones that I'm focusing on are critical rate, critical damage, ignore defense, regular damage, and boss damage. Um, and you get those through leveling. So maybe you can set a goal like, oh, I want to get this many levels, or whatnot, and save up your hyperstats and just try to balance them out as much as you can. Because the bonuses that they give are really, really good. I want to max out at least these ones, and I know it's going to take time, but that is a goal that I have. I want to get these, I want to get my boss damage, my regular damage, ignore defense, critical damage, and critical rate all up to 10. And, I'm almost there, but the higher you get, see, I need 25 hyperstat points to get that to 8. I only have 11, so that means I got to keep leveling up and, do what I got to do. So I have a goal, and that's the goal I'm going to focus on, is level up so I can balance out my hyperstats and watch my range increase. And that's very exciting for me. What else? Oh yeah, and there's also this, which can help. You can get some pretty good stats if you get lucky with this. And honor exp you pick up all over the place. I think, I don't know if you get them from leveling anymore, but I know you get honor exp through training and bossing. So there's another thing you can do to increase your range, is just work on your hyperstats and your bonus potential. I forget what this is called. Holy. Well, I mean, I know it's ability, but you get it. You get the point. Work on this and balancing out your hyperstat points, and you'll watch your range get higher little by little. Unfortunately, a part of the reason why most people have high damage is because they cube their items. If you haven't star forced your items yet, I would recommend doing that, because that helps a lot. Where is it? No, I can't find anything. Okay. Here, if you slap a piece of equipment in here, like let's just say that, for example, you do need spell traces. Sorry, I haven't spell traced anything in a while. I usually do 70%. If I'm feeling super unlucky, I do 100%, but mostly I'll do 70%. If I'm feeling extra lucky, 30%. And after that, it'll take you to the Star Force section. And it is recommended to at least 10 stars. At least. I feel like 10 stars is the safe zone for items. I'm still working on a few things, but a lot of my stuff, except for my weapon, I really, really... actually, no, I think I was given this weapon. I was actually given this weapon by somebody in my old guild, which I'm super happy about, so I just got to work on the potentials, but I'm super, super happy. My old one, I think I still have my old one. I had it up to 10 stars. But you can tell the difference for sure, so I was very, very happy with that. But yeah, you want to fill up as many of these slots as you can. Obviously, a lot of my stuff doesn't even have potential. And so that's another goal for me to work on, is, maybe save up some of my mesos and buy potential scrolls. Or, I don't know, can you buy them with Maple reward points? Well, if you can, you should do that too. Because unfortunately, that is another part of why a lot of people have high range, is because they are able to put potentials on their stuff and then cube it. So that's another goal, sorry, not growl. Save up whatever cubes you find from bossing or farming the stones. I am having a major brain fart when it comes to that. Save up your cubes. Save up your meso. That way you can and collect spell traces or buy them from free market. Well, free market is still a thing. Or the, what do you call it? Auction house. I know they sell some pretty good stuff too. So hoard spell traces, some meso, and if you can, find potential scrolls and do what you gotta do. Unfortunately, that is a part of the game, but there are ways to get those without spending real money. I've been trying to explain some little by little. I'm sorry if you don't like my advice, but I'm just sharing what I know. And again, if there's somebody out there that watches this video and you have a better way of doing this, then feel free by all means to leave it in the comments below. And, but don't do it in a trolly, hateful way, like you're so much better, blah, 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 because then I'm probably just going to wind up deleting the comment, because I don't put up with that kind of crap on my channel. I really don't. Another thing, I guess before I end off this video, is the Maple Legion. And unfortunately, that does require you to have characters up to 150, and I think you have to have like altogether level 500 pretty much. So it's like you have to get a certain amount of characters to 150 to open up the Maple Legion. And when you do that, I haven't done it yet because I've been focusing on this character and not so much my Link skills, which I need to get around to doing that at some point, but I hate grinding Link skills. Because I know I'm never going to touch the character after it's done, so it just seems like a waste of time. But that's another goal that I set for myself, is to work on my Link skills. Because not only do Link skills improve your damage and your stats, but once you get them to 150, you never have to touch them again, which is awesome. But also you open up Maple Legion, and that does increase your range and your damage a lot, as far as from what I've been able to tell. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But those are the things that I know of that might help you. I know this video might be a little bit jumbled, and I'm sorry about that, Angel. But it's the best advice that I could give to you. I'm sorry if some of it is what you've already heard, but if you've already heard some of this advice before, it's because it works. As much as you may not like it, and as much as I may not like it, if you're hearing something that somebody else has told you before and you didn't like it, it's because it works. And again, as I say in any kind of how to fun guide, I'm not saying this is a way to automatically increase your range and your damage tenfold, and in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, you're going to be hitting max damage. I'm not saying that. Stuff like this takes time, it takes effort, and it takes patience. And if you are lacking in those areas, then this game is probably not for you. I've had to have a lot of patience with this game, again, because I have a busy real life. And, this channel doesn't pay my bills. My job does, which I actually have to go to in a few hours, actually. A couple hours, actually. So I'm going to end this video off, try to get it up before I leave for work. I hope it helped. My friend Angel, and anybody else who watches this video that might be having the same questions as she has. If I think of anything later, I'll make another video about it, but I hope what I said helps you right now. Anyway, guys, sorry about all this stuttering and messing up. This is the first time in a while that I've done a post-commentary video while I'm actually playing the game. So you might hear a lot of stuttering, a lot of a lot of It's kind of hard for me to just spit words out without thinking about it first, but I wanted this to be something based off of memory that I could actually just show you directly. So yeah, this is AMV Reverted Studios. I'm going to shut my mouth and start getting ready for work, I guess. I got to eat first and edit this video. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is AMV Reverted Studios. Hope you like this video. If you've got any kind of advice other than what I already said, let me know in the comments below, but be respectful and nice about it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.